absence of a flagship skateboarding game franchise through the mid to late 2010s, a new competition emerged between Skater XL and Session Skate Sim. Created by dedicated skaters for skaters and skate fans alike, to experience the dedication of mastery and hard-earned triumph, boasting realistic simulation experiences. The first of these was Skater XL, which I covered in yesterday's video. I highly recommend checking out that video before you commit to watching this review. XL was released in 2018 and was then succeeded by Session on Steam Early Access in 2019 from Creature Studios, and then eventually saw a full release onto consoles last year. In the meantime, we got a brief return to the classic arcade style of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, which, sadly, never went anywhere beyond a mere nostalgia trip, and sparking the interest in EA's return to the Skate franchise, it seems like it's now or never for a game to make its mark as the new face of virtual skateboarding. Now, despite its many shortcomings, I quickly fell in love with XL. Even though it presents more as, more of a tech demo, it was impressive, it was intuitive, and it was very relaxing to play. Knowing that Session was a very similar sort of game, I'm not gonna lie, I went into this game pretty damn excited. The game opens up in New York with Ribs Man, gnarly skater from Instagram, showing us the ropes in a lengthy tutorial. Much like XL, each stick represents your feet, with two modes, front and back or left and right. We learn all of your fundamentals along with learning to walk. Hot damn, that's a much appreciated feature. It makes navigating the city that much more fluent, and by God, this is a huge city. Session features 3 enormous maps of New York, Philadelphia and San Francisco, along with many of their iconic spots in all of their glory. I've got to say, I am already loving this. It shits all over XL, and including a loose story, it's almost kind of like a skater RPG thing they've got going on here. I'm impressed. This immediately feels way more AAA, far more fleshed out and developed with a clear goal in mind. And now that we've escaped from the tutorial, we can dip into the local skate store and fill out our kit. Clothing options are fine, but the actual human creation is bare bones to say the least. Wouldn't you agree, Ribs? There's no hair, no facial hair options, no tattoos. Both Session and XL really lacked in this department. But thankfully, board customization may just take the cake for the greatest board customization in a skateboarding game. Period. From graphics, the style of boards, trucks, risers to pop your ollies a little easier, grind rails to protect your deck from wear and tear, even different wheel sizes and designs that introduce even the most delicate adjustments to how your board feels, I've got to say that I am shocked. Stepping out into the world, we're free to skate at our own leisure, but occasionally running into locals and even some pros such as Day One Song can teach us the true depths of the controls and potential for tricks, which is also the main way of earning experience points and cash to spend in the skate shop. I've got to splooge over the graphical fidelity and detail in this game right now because it is gorgeous. While it may still lack some of the life details in comparison to Skate, I can see that these are currently under development in the experimental section of the settings. Pedestrians simulate more of a zombie apocalypse vibe than a bustling city, but it's just nice having some movement going on in the background. And honestly, the bulk of my enjoyment beyond skating is just staring off into the world, seeing the sun go down and watching as lampposts illuminate plazas, even the light shining off of the camera onto our skater at night time. This is such a gorgeously lush environment to skate in. And if that's not enough, you can also rig up your own skate spots with pieces found around the place or purchase within the skate store, and that's super neat. We've got everything from raw materials to create ghetto kickers, rails, and even lighting rigs. Yeah, if you've found a cool spot to skate in the dead of night, well, set up those lights and shred it, baby! These tools can be a little bit finicky, but they get the job done and really immerse the player in that sense of DIY, rebellious nature of skating, no matter the terrain. I'm kind of shocked that the developers stopped there, to be honest. This is going for hyper-realism, with an RPG-like presentation where if your board snaps, then you've got to grab a new one from the shop. Fuck, that's so cool! I mean, you can adjust these settings to your heart's content, along with toggling big drop mechanics and whatnot, but the fact that it's so fleshed out to such a degree, this might just be the first skateboarding game to ever include such a vast array of customization on how you want your experience to play out. But still, even with such a monumental level of realism, I feel like they could have taken things a step further. I hit some skate stoppers earlier, and it made me long for trusty old mate from Skate 2, who we could call up to rip those shits of things off. Same for draining pools or some backup against security. But I mean shit, they've barely got human beings working just yet. It might be early days or wishful thinking, but I guess there is a standard that we judge these games by. What was possible 10 years ago should be expected by default, right? I mean, in a lot of cases, I believe so, which is why I'm pretty shocked to see that there are no grab tricks available here. None at all! Listen, XL's transition skating was a bit wonky, but the game overall, or what little game there actually was, still benefited greatly from including grab tricks. And much the same, we've also got no foot plants or hippie jumps, none of the more funky tricks that light up an otherwise dull street line. And this is where the video falls off of a cliff, because I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, I do not like this game. Yeah, and look, I don't know what it is either, but from the very moment I started playing, this just hasn't gelled with me. And it sucks because I really want to like it, but I'm just mad at myself that I can't get into it. But should I be mad at myself, or should I be mad at the game? Let's get to the bottom of it. The controls in this game are ultra realistic. So in other words, they're too realistic. There, I said it. This game is a skateboarder's RPG, for better and for worse, as the biggest flaw of Session from the moment I first pushed off was the control. Allow me to explain before you rip my head off in the comments, because I'm not saying that it's bad necessarily, I just want to explain why I feel that they've taken things beyond an expected limit. Skate at launch was viewed as a more realistic approach to the genre, with its flick-it control system, meaning that all of your tricks were done via the right stick on the controller, a single point of input that, while complex on the surface, was intuitive and easy to learn, yet still hard to master, but fun either way. Now, when I first picked up Skater XL, I nearly shit my pants. I could feel that brown streak creeping, but after learning and adjusting to the dual stick controls, it only took an hour or so to adapt my muscle memory to be able to play the game decently enough. That 2-point contact system made sense, as it was still crafted from the foundations of being a video game. Where Session fails for me is that it is the closest to mimicking how a skater's feet move on an actual board, which, in my honest opinion, having played just about every skateboarding video game there is simply not intuitive. If Skater XL had 2 points of contact, then Session has 4 points. No, there isn't some crazy controller that only Goro can competently use, but more so, the way you control the feet is overly complicated. Regardless of how you have your controls set up, to perform a simple ollie is to hold down with your back foot and pop up with the right. That's 2 inputs just to get off the ground instead of 1, and I'm just not used to it. Even in XL with the 2 points of contact, you can ollie or nollie with a single stick, allowing you more time, even if it's just a mere couple of frames, to correctly set up your trick inputs. It feels like I need an ambidextrous brain to be able to handle this, on top of everything being inverted when you're skating switch or fakie. The difference between low, mid, and high ollies accessing different moves, it is just too much for my brain, and I feel like that this prevents the game from appealing to a wider audience. But I digress. The point that I'm making here is that if you're someone who actually skates, then you probably love this about Session, and from that perspective, I would agree. It's really impressive just how realistic this feels, the satisfaction you feel from finally nailing that trick just perfectly. It just can't be beaten. Like I said, it's not technically bad, not at all, but in my opinion, as a gamer first, Session crosses the line between presenting as a realistic simulation and actually being a niche that requires extensive mastery. And listen, I've probably said this before in the past in regards to games like Thrasher's Skate and Destroy and maybe even some others at a poor attempt at comedy, but I say this now with no hyperbole, that for the time and effort it would take for me personally to fully learn and master these controls, I think it would actually be easier for me to go and learn to ride an actual skateboard. Like, seriously. Maybe not ride it well, but at least learn to cruise around comfortably and pop an ollie over a curb or something, which, in my opinion, kind of defeats the purpose of a video game. Pro Skater and EA's Skate franchises provided an entryway into a world that I feel like many wish that they could be a part of, which is only a good thing. This, on the other hand, feels more like an exclusive club, if you get what I'm saying. It's basically gatekeeping itself, and I find that even if I did want to dedicate my time to learn and get better, which, trust me, I have been trying really hard to do so, that the game is just not very welcoming. Looking up the trick guide to be able to complete some challenges, you're met with this awful screen. There's no little animation of the stick movement, no input display for your HUD, just a warning that says, "This is the Dark Souls of skateboarding games. Expect to be frustrated and piss your pants." And that sucks, man. It's really disheartening as a genuine fan and lover of the sport because I can't skate, so I express myself in this medium via gaming, which is something that XL, for all of its limitations, allows me to do with far less headaches. I hate how grinding and board slides feel. They just don't lock in properly without additional input from the player, unlike any other skateboarding game. And then, even if I do actually manage to pull off some of these more technical lines, like this mission, Rock Ride with Day One, the bastard doesn't even register that I've done it correctly. I land it again and again, hitting every trick perfectly timed, and it just doesn't register. You fucking cunt. You cannot get up on your pretentious high horse boasting realistic simulation as this elitist club, and then expect me to want to earn my membership if you're not going to reward me when I actually do the damn thing. Get fucked. And why would I even want to keep playing at this point, okay? And just so we're on the same page here, fuck this video, okay? I'm not Eyed Jak, I'm not doing a bit for the video, I'm just genuinely sitting here wanting to enjoy this game for what it is because every other aspect would make this the most incredible skateboarding game that I've ever played. But it's these controls, no matter how well I master them, no matter how much time I put into getting them right, I just can't seem to pass the missions, so why even bother? So look, I just want to skate, okay? I want to explore around and experience that self-expression that only this skateboarding art form can allow me. So let's just turn off all these objectives and turn off all the squiggly lines that make it hard to see what I'm doing. And from now on, let's just skate. Turning off all of that noise allows us to hear the gorgeous sound of polyurethane on concrete as we head out to explore some iconic skate spots. While the map is expansive, we can jump onto a bus or teleport around wherever we like. It's not fully open world as some areas are just single little maps, but that's fine. I think just having this much open space to skate is plenty, and there is something really special about just how faithfully these locations have been recreated in the game. I do wish the map screen actually showed us where these different spots are though, and where I am in relation. I mean, these might be famous cities, but not everyone from around the world is familiar with them. Skating around the Love Park area is great, as this is one of those spots that we've skated countless times over the years, but this might be the first time that it's actually one-to-one. And hey, I was just wandering about looking for some cool spots here when I stumbled onto this awesome flight of stairs that I actually recognised from Thrasher's My War series over on their YouTube channel. Dane Berman famously 50-50'd this handrail countless times before finally landing the trick and made the cover of the magazine. So of course, I just had to shred that thing myself, which the game recognised as me recreating a historical trick. Now this I love. You've got all of these locations, so why not use it to educate? It's so cool just playing around and stumbling into areas that you recognise from video parts or other games, and with the replay controls at our disposal, it makes for a really great art tool. I mean, that's how I treated XL, like an art tool for creating neat screenshots and video clips, and I know that the hardcore session community do the same here. So in that regard, I do honestly love this game as an art experience that is grounded in history. But again, the game takes yet another misstep in my opinion, expecting every single player to be some all-knowing skate historian. The checklist for these iconic spots, much like the gap list in the Tony Hawk games, appears blank until you begin to land them, which then later reveals the skater, the trick they've performed, and even the video part or date when this was recorded. And man, what a missed opportunity to just provide one of those details on the list, such as the name of a skate video. Would that not encourage players to go look up that video on YouTube, get invested in the history, and then launch an almost treasure hunt style pilgrimage to that spot in the game to recreate it? But no, if you're out of the loop, then I guess it's just shame on you for not being a real skater, I suppose. And that's what sucks, man. Stumbling into this spot by complete accident was, without hesitation, the absolute highlight of playing this game for me. Just one of those raw, natural moments that made me want to stick with it. Instead, I soon decided to hit up FDR, which is another famous Philly skate park, and yeah, the fucking state of it. It's just an unskateable shit show thanks to this game's subpar transition physics. A real letdown to end off my time with Session. I'm gonna be honest, that I don't really know how to approach my feelings on this game. I've had so many frustrations and complaints the entire way through, but if it wasn't for those key issues, then I wouldn't hesitate to give everything else here the highest of praise. The atmosphere, the size of the world, the Bible of skate history, the structure, objectives, unlockables, extensive customization of your skateboard, where you skate it, and the way you skate. All of this other stuff is on the verge of immaculate, and that's my honest opinion. But I simply didn't enjoy this nearly as much as Skater XL, and especially not as much as any of the skate games for that matter. I find the presentation to be a little bit on the snobbish side, making a point that if you're getting frustrated then, oh, must be a skill issue, lol, and that it's preaching such a hyper-complex level of detail that the only thing it's missing is having you walk around by stepping with your left foot and then stepping with your right foot and so on. The controls, for as advanced as they may be, are an absolute hell to learn, but especially learn consistently. Yet there are plenty of people who have learnt them and love these controls, and in my time playing, I did notice improvement, but the bottom line is that the controls are just not intuitive in my opinion. It's a fucking video game, you know, I want to be able to pick it up and get going without too much hassle. I sucked total ass at skate back in the day, but it was still fun and, more importantly, encouraging to want to get better and learn the intricacies of the moves. Session, on the other hand, I feel like that even if I was to continue learning and get better at it, that it still wouldn't be my immediate choice when I'm in the mood for this kind of game, and quite frankly, I don't even think it would be close to my top 5. Look, I do want to stress enough that I can see and appreciate the level of quality here. I can't deny it. Everything else is uber impressive. It's packed full of content and potential, and for sure meets a much greater standard than Skater XL, which is why Session is still taking home a rather surprising score of 6 out of 10. Because, yeah, it is still a really good game. But this is a hyper niche, almost exclusive experience, and one that I'm no longer interested in investing my time with. So, yeah. I hope that people can manage to have a civil debate in the comments section, because I am very curious. Quizzing a small section of my general audience revealed a near even split in preference of XL, but look, no matter which game you prefer, playing this does make me excited for what the future holds for the genre of skating video games. If Skate 4 or Skater XL 2 or even Session 2 could give me a mere taste of this quality with the simplicity and complexity of these control schemes, then I will always be around to drop into a new skateboarding adventure. Anyway, that is Skate Timber done and dusted. Thank you all so much for tuning in all week long, and if you've missed any of the uploads, there'll be a playlist linked at the end of this video, as well as in the description box below. And if you think I've earned it, then maybe consider dropping a few bucks over on Patreon to unlock some exclusive videos. Yeah, you don't want to miss it. So until next time, I'm Eyed Jak, and I hope you have a great fucking day. Cheers, guys.